Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, we're going to be covering what if Naruto was Yuta Akotsu, one of the most powerful characters in Jujutsu Kaisen. The dude's arsenal essentially consists of copying other people's techniques, having the Queen of Curses Rika herself, and also being gifted with some of the most cursed energy in the entire series. Today, we're going to be giving that and more to Naruto because not only is he going to be having Yuta's arsenal, but chakra as well. And did I mention Kurama? So yeah, today's video is definitely going to be a banger. So stick around to the end of the video to find out how everything goes. Leave a like on the video. And also, today's video is definitely a commission. So if you want to find out more on how that works, check out the community tab. That said, enjoy. We begin our story with a knock on the door. Hiruzen would have been coming over to visit Naruto and check up on him and how he's been doing lately, but Naruto would simply be balled up in the corner, scared out of his mind at the gigantic creature that was with him in his own house. And when Hiruzen entered the room, he would simply bear witness to a tormented Naruto who looks like he hasn't been sleeping properly and just all in all looks completely terrified. Hiruzen would go up to him asking Naruto what's wrong, and Naruto would say, "You don't see it, Hiruzen, you don't see it." But Hiruzen would turn towards the direction where Rika would be, but not having cursed energy, there's no reason that Hiruzen would see this. Oh, and by the way, just to clarify, in this specific video, not to make Rika's abilities too broken, I'm going to be saying that she can be seen by dojutsu users, meaning Uchihas, Hyugas, Rinegans, Tensegans, all that stuff that completely falls under the category of you can see Rika. But anybody else, yeah, you're kind of screwed. Anyways though, that being the case, you could just imagine it. This is pretty much just the scene that I'm trying to paint. Naruto was in the room terrified because he cannot sleep. He can't do any basic thing because he's afraid that that thing, that monstrous creature is gonna kill him or eat him or just do something to him. Naruto can't exactly explain it, but he feels so much fear that that thing is there, and he's always been so confused why nobody else could see it. He doesn't understand why. Hiruzen, knowing this, or not being aware of the fact that Rika's existence is real, would go up to Naruto and tell him that whatever he's seeing is not real, that it's just in his head, it's imaginary. He would go on to explain it similarly to how Genjutsu works in their world, and how to simply he has to strengthen his mind and stop believing that that stuff's actually there. But Naruto just can't. He just tells Hiruzen to get out, that he's in danger, and Hiruzen would say, "I'm the Hokage, boy, I'm not in danger." To which Naruto could simply watch as Rika would be behind Hiruzen with a devilish smile. Naruto, seeing this, would tell Hiruzen to get out, screaming at him, as Hiruzen, hearing how scared and stunned Naruto was, would just be shocked. He would end up making his way back to the Hokage Manor, and once he would arrive there, Hiruzen would actually begin thinking about what he's gonna do with Naruto, seeing that that's not normal. If what Naruto's saying really is a lie, he wouldn't be acting like that, would he? Hiruzen from this point forward decides that he's going to be having Anbu members keep watch of Naruto, and so a couple of Anbu members, Naruchiya or Kakashi obviously, would begin watching over Naruto at this point. And some of you guys might be wondering, okay Xehther, pause. Where does Naruto even get Rika from, or the cursed spirit? And I'm going to be explaining. The Night of the Nine Tails, Naruto would have been born with so much cursed energy because obviously, you know, he just is. He's Yuta's reincarnation. Naruto would essentially end up turning his mother into a cursed spirit. The day that she dies in front of him, Naruto as a crying baby would end up placing a curse on her, essentially transforming her into the cursed spirit Rika, who you know, obviously Rika's not her name, but most Jujutsu Kaisen fans and people who've seen the series, we refer to her as Rika, and I don't exactly want to say Kushina every time, so I'm gonna be calling her Rika, but obviously it's Kushina. But Naruto's not aware of that because it's not like he's talking to this thing that's just terrifying. That said, Naruto would grow up a tormented child, with him having always seen Rika, but Rika never having done anything other than scaring him. Naruto eventually learned to bear the fact that that thing was something that only he could see, and he would have essentially told himself that it's his imagination, but he just couldn't do it any longer. And one day it would finally get to the point where Naruto, once he was pretty much ended up sent to live off on his own, and rumors of him being the Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki would spread, things would just get so much worse for Naruto's life. Because if he would go outside and he would be seen by those nasty glares that the villagers would get him, Rika would get angry at the sight of Naruto being treated like that, and at one specific occasion nearly killed somebody. But Naruto would have screamed, "Rika, stop!" or stop, and then like Rika, who obviously Kushina, would end up stop and not mauling the person and ripping them to shreds. So this version of Naruto is literally scared to go out into the town and would refuse to do so on all accounts, only ever going out rarely. And whenever he does, he always makes sure to go out wearing something to kind of hide his identity, a sweater or something to cover his face. Naruto's favorite season to go out was winter because he has an excuse to wear large jackets and scarves which hide his whiskers, and his eyes and hair would really be the only thing visible. So Naruto would eventually have a day come around where he runs out of anything in terms of food at the house, and Naruto's essentially forced to go out and try to get some groceries for himself because nobody else was going to be doing it for him. So Naruto would begin searching for the direction of a nice little grocery store nearby, and on his way there, Naruto's disguise just wouldn't work. The glares keep coming and Naruto would just be getting more and more scared, his eyes growing wider as panic would fill him, and he would simply be looking back at an invisible figure, with the villagers wondering what the heck's wrong with that kid, since they didn't know that Naruto was simply wanting to have them not freaking die, because this thing that was willing to kill anybody for Naruto was about to lunge at these villagers and just rip them from limb. So Naruto, seeing this, would say, "Rika, please, don't do it." And he would continue running and run, and so Rika follows him until eventually Naruto, making his way in front of a mask shop, would look at one of the masks like as his fear would finally subside, seeing that Rika had left those villagers alone. He would go on to grab one as the villager would throw the mask at his face and tell him to get lost. In that moment, Naruto's eyes would widen immediately as he realizes that that man is dead. Instantly, Rika would rush towards the direction of the man, as everybody watching on would have seen the dude practically explode, be cut in half in an instant. His blood would splatter everywhere, and you would simply hear screams, with some people yelling, "Demon!" They would low-key try rushing at Naruto, saying that it was his fault, trying to kill him. And that was a horrible mistake. The men responsible for that would all instantly be murdered by Rika, and the Anbu members watching this happen would be wondering what is even going on, because Naruto would be on the ground sobbing, screaming, "Stop, stop!" And as Naruto would be doing this, people would just be dying left and right. Eventually, Anbu reinforcements would arrive, and Kakashi, being one of those members, would end up seeing the figure, simply thinking, "My God." As Rika would continue tearing through the villagers that are staring at Naruto, saying, "I'll protect you, I'll protect you." And no one can hear Rika, mind you. So people in everyone's eyes are just dying left and right for absolutely no explanation. Could you just imagine how terrifying that is? Seeing people just start literally getting torn in half, like some people's arms just get blown off of their body, and you're watching that, you're nearby and you're scared. The Anbu members themselves would be too scared to even move, and Kakashi would think "Oh, I have to help," but as soon as he does so, Rika would roar at his direction and send Kakashi flying into a building. This would lead to Naruto rushing towards Rika and saying, "Stop! Please don't kill him!" And Rika, obviously being Kushina, having some connection to Kakashi, remembering him sort of, I guess you could say, would proceed to pull back, not finishing the full-scale attack she was about to perform, with Rika simply saying that he's safe now. Naruto would sit there on the ground crying, as eventually the Anbu members would get closer, being scared of him, telling Naruto to simply follow them. All of them would be careful not to do or say anything to Naruto, and they would all kind of just stay silent, afraid of what the boy could do. Not exactly giving him glares, but simply stares of fear. Naruto, looking at them, would also just have this look of just being shaken by the entire experience. And once Naruto would arrive to Hiruzen's office, Hiruzen would sit there as he would go on to explain to Naruto that he's not in trouble. He would go on to tell him that Kakashi told him the truth, that apparently this whole time there was really something there, and he was simply too stupid to believe him, thinking that this had just been something that the kid had made up, an imaginary friend or something. He would look at Naruto telling him that everything would be okay, and that he understands that he killed all those villagers but it wasn't him. So he would tell Naruto, don't think that that blame falls on you. This was my responsibility as a Kage, and I failed you, Naruto. Naruto, looking at Hiruzen, would start crying as he would go on to explain that that's not all. Unfortunately, after this situation went down, and since nobody knows exactly what happened, all suspicion's gonna fall on Naruto. So Naruto's not exactly gonna be allowed to just waltz back into the village because Hiruzen's afraid that a situation like this could possibly happen again. So he would tell Naruto that not only is it too dangerous because of that spirit that constantly follows him around is near him protecting him, but if the villagers ever get angry and try to retaliate, they will die. So Hiruzen goes on to explain that from this moment forward, Naruto's going to be receiving special training. However, because he's the Hokage, he can't personally do it, being way too busy with paperwork and cleaning up this entire situation, essentially making it seem as though Naruto had no involvement in this situation. And Naruto would simply turn around as a man covered in bandages and a walking cane would walk in. This would be none other than Danzo, who standing behind Naruto would look at Naruto in anticipation of how powerful he can become under his tutelage. Hiruzen would go on to explain that this man is a trusted member of the Shinobi Council, and that he's going to be taking part of all his training him to become an exceptional ninja, with Hiruzen saying that once upon a time he was even a candidate for Hokage. Naruto, hearing this, would kind of calm himself a little bit, as Naruto would have been crying and he would barely stop wiping the tears off his face. He would turn towards Danzo and Naruto would be scared, seeing the large imposing man who seems like he's not exactly going to be taking things easy on Naruto would scare him. But Hiruzen would simply turn to Naruto, telling him that things won't be easy. However, Danzo will do great. He's going to train him, and he would simply look at Hiruzen saying that the man is cold, but he's not evil. He would say that as in his mind he would think, at least I hope not, as he would proceed to tell Naruto that for the time being, he's going to be under his tutelage until he can somehow control that thing that Kakashi would have assured him is there. That said, Naruto would simply look up at Danzo as years would pass, and Naruto would train under the tutelage of Danzo, learning as many skills as you could possibly imagine. Danzo would be an exceptional teacher for Naruto because of the fact that not only can he teach him to somewhat control Rika, seeing as he's going to be teaching Naruto a lot of things, but he's also going to be helping Naruto in terms of his personality. He's never exactly going to be getting rid of that shy nature of being afraid of people or getting close to them. So this version of Naruto's forever kind of going to become this very quiet character who's extremely powerful if the moment calls for it, but all in all, Naruto would be an exceptional shinobi after years of training under Danzo, because in this timeline, instead of Naruto trying to figure things out by himself and having absolutely zero chakra control, also unaware of why that's the case, Danzo, knowing that Naruto's denying Jinchuriki, would train Naruto to overcome that thing that Naruto had in the original, with Kurama interfering with Naruto's chakra control. Naruto would end up learning 3 chakra natures, being water, wind, and fire, and he would also have exceptional taijutsu abilities, being trained under Danzo, who would sharpen his skills and turn him into pretty much a human weapon. That's just what happens when you're training under the Anbu, and Danzo's essentially made you his secret project. Naruto would also, on top of everything that I've just mentioned, have exceptional abilities when it comes to using a katana, being Naruto's preferred weapon and something that Naruto was able to easily pick up as though it was second nature, as though in some sort of other life Naruto had already learned how to wield it. Naruto subconsciously, because he would have been taught the ability of, channeling your chakra into weapons to essentially enhance them, something that Danzo definitely would have taught Naruto. I mean, that's kind of Shinobi 101. He would proceed to learn how to do that, and so would use that technique to centrally enhance his weapons. But Naruto would do something else innately. After years of training under Danzo, Naruto would have some sort of pull and control over Kushina, but more importantly, Naruto would learn that he has access to some sort of strange energy which nobody else can see, but Naruto can control. He would think of it as a sort of Kekkei Genkai, with Danzo saying that that must be what it is, explaining to Naruto that since they don't understand how that would even fully work, they're not going to be focusing on that, and that's something Naruto's going to have to try to learn mostly on his own. So, by the time that Naruto would have turned like 10 years old, he would have essentially started trying to imbue his cursed energy into his sword, which he would successfully be able to do, being one of Naruto's best abilities to do when it comes to his cursed energy control. He can imbue his technique into the sword and make it way deadlier, combining that with the fact that he's also combining chakra into it. So just imagine how deadly a sword slash from Naruto would be that has cursed energy imbued in it as well as chakra, making it far more potent. That said though, after all this time would have passed, that wouldn't be the only thing that Naruto would have learned. Naruto also would have learned about who this cursed spirit actually is. After eventually growing as a shinobi and being taught certain lessons that would cause Naruto to kind of stiffen up and become more of a warrior and more serious and more analytical than just a different person, he would have had to grow up and essentially miss out on his childhood. Not that he would have had one, considering that Rika was always there, just absolutely scaring the life out of Naruto. Naruto would eventually ended up growing to the point where he would have the guts to try to speak to Kushina. And once Naruto would do so, Kushina, who all this time would have tried speaking to Naruto, but him being so scared would have essentially led her to simply remaining quiet, would finally ask, "Who are you?" with Rika saying, "Kushina," in a weird, like creepy, scratchy voice. Naruto, hearing that, would wonder who the heck that is. And Naruto would actually bring that up to Danzo, saying that he's finally aware of what that spirit that constantly follows him around his name is. He would say that her name is Kushina. And Danzo, hearing that, would be stunned, informing Hiruzen of this fact, with Hiruzen going to Naruto and actually informing Naruto about the lineage of his parents. Since that thing seemingly is Kushina, Hiruzen would take that as a fact, and we would get a strange interaction where Hiruzen would invite Naruto, telling him that he's not in trouble. He simply wants to ask him questions about how his training has been going lately, as well as something about his cursed spirit, which they've all started referring to it as. Naruto walking inside would close the door as all of the Anbu members who normally are, keeping Hiruzen safe, quote unquote, would leave the room. He would go on to ask Naruto what the name of the cursed spirit is, and Naruto, confused, would say Kushina. At least that's what she keeps saying. Hiruzen, hearing this, would say, "I understand. Naruto, I'm gonna need you to sit down for this." Naruto would do so as Hiruzen would go on to explain that his parents, even though he had never told them this, are actually Minato Namikaze, as well as Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto, hearing this, would be stunned, going, "My father's the fourth?" And Hiruzen would go on to explain the reason that Naruto wasn't named Namikaze, opting to go for the name Uzumaki, saying that the reason for that was because Minato was such a great shinobi, but that also meant that he ended up gaining a lot of enemies, and they didn't want to run the risk of Naruto being targeted by other villages such as the Stone Village or the Cloud Village, seeing as during the Third Great Shinobi World War, Minato would have been responsible for thousands of deaths, and they definitely, in his mind, would have tried going after him. So Naruto, hearing that, would understand, and he would ask why he wasn't told at least. Hiruzen would say that he didn't think it was smart to tell a small child who, was in Naruto's predicament the truth about his lineage, with him possibly telling others about it and spreading the rumor. He would go on to inform Naruto that at his age and with all the training he's received from Danzo, he's more than confident that Naruto will be able to accept this news and not take it and freak out or something. Naruto would internally be freaking out, but he would look at Hiruzen and ask, "So this cursed spirit is my mother?" He would look at it shocked as Hiruzen would go on to explain that it is. However, to this point, he only knows that it is by name. Hiruzen would say, "Kushina, is that really you?" And Kushina would say, like Naruto's the only one that can hear this, obviously, but Kushina would say, "Yes," you know what I mean? Kind of like in like a creepy, like cursed spirit type voice. Naruto, hearing that, looks back as in complete fear would overwhelm him, and he would realize that that thing was his mother all along. In this moment, Naruto would look down at the ground as he would realize that all those times, Kushina was protecting him. Naruto would look at Kushina in a bit of a different light, realizing that his mom is now this thing. He's not sure what could have possibly caused that to happen, but Hiruzen would go on to say that potentially she might have used some sort of jutsu that they weren't aware of to essentially continue protecting Naruto from the grave, and this might be the result of it. Maybe because she was dying, the jutsu failed or something, or malfunctioned or something, and Naruto hearing that would say that that is not it. Naruto just knows it isn't. Naruto would look at his mother and he would feel fear, but he would also feel slight comfort, I guess you could say, knowing that all this time it wasn't just some evil spirit, it was his mother, which he's sure that he has something to do with this. It has to be because of that cursed energy he wields. Naruto hearing this would look at Kushina and say, "I'm sorry I've been mean to you." Naruto at this point would have a flashback to one day when he was training. He's not sure exactly why or what happened, but out of nowhere, Danzo would have came into the room and Rika would have lost her mind, going crazy and murdering tons of Anbu members, as well as, from what he remembers, Danzo himself. And the reason for this would have essentially been that Danzo was trying to actually place a seal on Naruto, making it so that he was going to be just like all the other Anbu root members who are essentially loyally to a fault to Danzo. Him trying to do this and Kushina recognizing what that was would have freaked out, trying to kill Danzo with all the Anbu members obviously trying to defend him. So that would have led to multiple of Naruto's acquaintances and friends that he would have met in the Anbu to get absolutely slaughtered. They would be getting killed left and right, with Naruto trying to calm Rika down, all the while Rika was tearing through multiple Anbu level shinobis, getting closer and closer to Danzo, who luckily, because he has Izanagi, which is able to bring him back from the dead, would use that to escape his death and get out of that situation. Naruto would always wonder if Danzo had truly died that day, but Danzo would have essentially told him that he didn't. He simply made it seem as though that was the case to fool that beast. So after that incident would have happened, Rika would always have an aura of just distrust towards Danzo, always saying, "Evil, don't trust him," to Naruto whenever Danzo was around, pretty much telling Naruto to stay away from that man. You know, Naruto would have been completely unaware of why that is, not really believing Kushina because of the fact that, hey, that thing is a monster, right? Or so is what Naruto would have thought. But now pieces are starting to fall into place and Naruto's starting to realize that maybe Kushina really wasn't the evil person that he had thought all along. So, after having all of this revealed to him, Naruto looks at Kushina in a lot of a different light, as at this point in the story, Naruto would begin training with Kushina in a different way, similarly to how Yuta would have operated once he was comfortable fighting next to Rika. So, Naruto now, with all the skills that he's learned thanks to the years of training under Danzo, would be an incredibly powerful shinobi. The dude, I'm not gonna lie, is low-key Kage level depending on who his opponent is. Say it's somebody who can see Naruto, they can probably maybe beat him, but if it's somebody who straight up can't see him, it's deadly. Because you're essentially fighting against a limbo clone. Do you guys remember in the war arc where Madara had this ability to essentially create limbo clones in an other world where you couldn't even hurt them unless you had Senjutsu chakra, and you couldn't see them unless it was Sasuke and Naruto who, because of Sage Mode, was able to sense them? That's what every other opponent in the series is going to be having to go up against whenever they face Naruto. So they're not only going against Naruto, who at this point in the story, obviously, all things considered, is probably Kakashi level Land of Waves because of all the training that he's had, which is very impressive, but still, it's not exactly going to be blitzing through the series. However, when you add Rika, aka Kushina, into the mix, all of a sudden the dude becomes one of the most powerful Naruto combatants in the story. So with that being the case, and Naruto beginning to train alongside Kushina, understanding her a lot better, Naruto would actually begin to get comfortable with Kushina and essentially get to the point where he knows that she won't just kill somebody for small things, getting to the point where he feels comfortable. I guess not really comfortable, but I guess the word is he feels more understanding of the fact that Rika won't exactly attack somebody for no reason. And it's gotten to the point where Naruto understands that she also won't just be attacking people unless they're trying to kill him, which is awesome for Naruto, because this means that by the time that Naruto's a few months removed from the Genin Academy exam, Naruto would actually be reintroduced to the class, with everybody watching as Iruka would essentially say that a new student's going to be joining them. Naruto would step forward with everybody seeing him and saying, Whoa, is it that Naruto? Murmurs would begin going on throughout the classroom, with people saying that he was kicked out of the village they had heard, and some people would say he's a murderer, that he killed tons of people. Naruto, hearing that, would simply ignore it, as he would make his way to the back of the classroom and say nothing. Naruto would be stared at by multiple of his classmates, but Naruto wouldn't even look back at them, simply looking to the front of the classroom and doing his best to ignore them, or at least making it seem as though he was successful at doing that. That said, as the days would pass, Naruto would simply blend into the background, with people trying to get under his skin or finding out things about Naruto, but he would just kind of stay quiet, not caring and keeping to himself. This would eventually lead to people altogether kind of forgetting that he was even there, and not wanting to stand out. Everybody would just forget about him. That said, eventually one day would come where people would definitely take notice of Naruto. After Naruto had essentially became a background character to the classroom, about 2 months before the Genin Academy exam would finally be over, the students would all be having a 1v1 training exercise where they were going to be going up against each other, similarly to how Kakashi and Obito would have done when they were kids. That said, Naruto would face off against Kiba, as the battle would begin with Iruka saying Hajime, and Naruto in 3 seconds flat would speed blitz Kiba, kicking his legs from under him and then slamming his hand onto Kiba's chest, slamming him onto the ground, as he would then hold a kunai to his chest saying yield, with Kiba being like, what? And Naruto simply standing over him with his speed, shocking everybody in the classroom, who at this moment just looks at Naruto, and murmurs would begin once again. Kiba, realizing that he would have lost, would say, I give up. And Iruka, looking at Naruto, would just be stunned, realizing that that kid was much more powerful than he had given him credit for. He would say, Naruto's the winner. And as Naruto would win, he would just go back to the classroom saying nothing and doing nothing. Everybody would be stunned, and Sasuke to this point would finally realize that that kid was not just a background character he had thought of him as. He is powerful, and Sasuke in this moment would realize that if they were to actually get into a fight, he feels more than confident that Naruto definitely could beat him. So from this day forth, he would carefully watch Naruto all the time, but interestingly enough, that was literally the only time in the academy that Naruto seemed to stand out, because the remainder of the time, Naruto kind of just blends in and acts as though he doesn't even exist, just doing his tests and passing and pretty much staying out of the way of everybody. To this point in the academy, Naruto has made absolutely zero friends, with him thinking that he shouldn't let people get close, considering the fact that he's still scared of the fact that something could happen to them, considering the fact that he's almost positive that he's responsible for turning his mother into this creature. So Naruto fears letting anyone close, considering that he feels that the possibility exists that he could do that to someone else. So Naruto would just refuse to let anyone get close to him or even become his friend. This means that Shikamaru and Choji, who definitely would have tried talking to Naruto a bit, would kind of just be cut off, with Naruto just giving them blank answers and eventually just leading him to having no friends. This would lead Naruto to feel extremely lonely, but how lonely could you really feel when you got pretty much a demon right next to you at all times? Okay, yeah, that was uncalled for. Anyways, point is, Naruto would eventually graduate the academy, and at this point in the story, we would essentially be greeted to Kakashi walking into the room, with Naruto this time never being tricked by Mizuki, just due to the fact that this version of Naruto is just way smarter and is easily going to be passing every single test and exam that he takes place in during the academy. So with that being said, Mizuki doesn't end up getting the scroll, and he would just be stopped instantly by Hiruzen and the other Jonin. With that being the case, the time would finally come when Kakashi Hatake would walk into the room after Team 7 would all be assigned, and this time Naruto wouldn't end up pulling his dumb prank. Kakashi would walk inside to see Sasuke with his arms crossed, Sakura right next to him trying to talk to him, and Naruto on the other side of the room simply staying quiet, looking down at his desk and just tapping his foot over and over and over. Kakashi, looking at his team, would think to himself that this is going to be interesting, before they go to the rooftop, and he would ask them all for what they want to do, what their goals are. After that would be said, he would go on to ask Sakura, who says, my goal, the person I want to, she just starts being a trash bag. Then comes in Sasuke, who says that he wants to avenge his clan and kill a certain someone. And then Naruto would simply go on to say that his goal is to become a powerful shinobi. That's all there is to it. Not Hokage, not my dream is to, nope, just I want to become a powerful shinobi. That's all there is. Kakashi, hearing that, would give Naruto his classic eye smile, as in this moment he would begin to remember that incident that he shared with Naruto when he was 4 years old as a little boy. That monster that was with Naruto and the one that he's well aware of is here right now. However, the reason that he can't see him is because his Sharingan is currently being covered up by his headband. That said, after this would take place, Kakashi would go on to tell them that tomorrow they shouldn't eat because they have the bell test, and everybody would nod before Kakashi would body flicker out of there, with Sasuke jumping off the rooftop and Naruto walking home, with him actually living in a different place than he would have in the original, thanks to the fact that his apartment he normally would have rented thanks to Hiruzen would actually be being rented by someone else. So Naruto's home would be different, but regardless, it's just 4 walls and a roof. That said, we would eventually get the next day come around where the team would finally be under the event to the bell test, with Kakashi explaining the rules and pretty much counting down. The second that this would happen, Sasuke and Sakura would go hide into some bushes or the trees, with them watching Kakashi trying to analyze what their plan or strategy is going to be. But we simply have Naruto standing there looking at Kakashi, with Kakashi holding his Makeout Paradise book in his hand and looking to Naruto wondering what he's gonna do. Naruto would simply close his eyes, sigh, and then blitz towards the direction of Kakashi, who just wasn't expecting half this speed. Kakashi would realize that Naruto was moving at exactly the same speeds that Kakashi could move at, so Naruto being blown back would substitute immediately, revealing his Sharingan, as the battle would be a high intensity one off the bat. In this moment, Naruto using Rika would find Kakashi as he would rush back in with a sword slash, which Kakashi would narrowly be able to dodge using a kunai and redirecting the slash. Naruto smirking, thinking that he's powerful, or no, not smirking, but kind of just like being like, he's strong, you know, in his mind, you know, just like calculating everything, just looking at Kakashi's movements and trying to find a weak spot or a blank spot. But as this is happening and Naruto would be in the air spinning, Rika comes down with a monstrous punch that Kakashi has to substitute out of the way of. Naruto, seeing this happen, would use the body flicker jutsu, appearing next to Kakashi as he would bring his blade down on him, with Kakashi using 2 kunais to block this blow, having pretty much predicted his attack thanks to the Sharingan. And as this is happening, Rika once again comes in roaring at Kakashi as she would throw a monstrous punch at him, to which Kakashi would look at the punch coming in slow motion practically before dropping his kunai and holding both arms in front of him in a guard position, holding an X in front of him, with Rika punching down on Kakashi and actually breaking his forearm. Kakashi would be sent flying back as he would begin rolling on the ground, with Naruto rushing in towards Kakashi's direction, who at this point would have been ragdolled by him, as Rika, leaping into the air, would begin charging an energy blast at Kakashi, which thankfully, because of the Sharingan, Kakashi would be able to actually see this. But Sakura, and more importantly Sasuke, who was watching this battle take place, would wonder what the heck Naruto's doing, because keep in mind, he doesn't have the Sharingan to this point in the story. So in Sasuke's mind, Kakashi seems like he's fighting Naruto as well as an invisible being, and he's on the back foot. A Jonin sensei is on the back foot against Naruto. Sasuke would grit his teeth before a beam of energy would come visible to Sasuke, as he would see it destroy a large section of the ground as it would tear through it with an energy beam that Kakashi would dodge thanks to the substitution jutsu narrowly avoiding. Naruto would begin looking around as Kakashi, appearing right next to him, would go in and attack his direction, slashing him with the kunai, as Naruto would block it with his blade before forming hand signs for a fire style jutsu and shooting it at Kakashi, who forms the hand signs for a mud wall jutsu, creating it and blocking the attack. Behind Kakashi would come in Rika, who would punch at the wall, tearing that thing down, as Kakashi would do backflip after backflip, gaining some distance, as Naruto would charge in, body flickering towards his direction, as he would slash at his direction, coating his blade with chakra and cursed energy, with Kakashi seeing this blade come at him with a strange pink, bluish energy coming off of it, with Kakashi noting that he's imbuing chakra and something else into it. Kakashi, seeing this slash come down towards his direction, would see his life flash before his eyes, but all too quickly Naruto would redirect his slash, cutting off both bells from Kakashi's waist, as Naruto would grab them in his hand, all the while Rika was about to crush Kakashi in her palms. But before that could happen, Naruto would command Rika to stop instantly, as Rika would stop just shy of crushing Kakashi, with Kakashi realizing that Naruto is on a completely different level. That kid is not normal, and Rika fighting alongside him makes him possibly one of the deadliest shinobis he's ever had to go up against. Sasuke, seeing this all take place as well as noting Kakashi's Sharingan, would get pissed, not only at the fact that Naruto took both bells, but the fact that Kakashi was having a Sharingan in his eye that belonged to his clan, and since he wasn't an Uchiha member, Sasuke would assume the worst. Also, he would feel incredibly inferior to Naruto, and his superiority complex would not let that slide. That said, as Naruto would sit there dangling both bells in his hand, he would pretty much go on to explain that he passed, right? As Kakashi, turning towards him, would say, "Yeah, that's right, he did pass. Now, which other of his teammates is he going to be allowing to pass this test? Because there's 2 bells and only 2 of them are going to be passing." Sasuke and Sakura would both feel like a tense up in their bodies, as they would wonder who Naruto was going to be picking. Sasuke would kind of grit his teeth, thinking that there's a chance that he's not going to be passing, all because of Naruto's choice. But as time would pass, Naruto would actually say that he wants both of them to pass and he'll return to the academy, saying that he needs to put his comrades before the mission, as he would hand both bells back to Kakashi and tell him that he'll return to the academy, that he doesn't mind staying there another year. Kakashi, hearing this from Naruto, would realize that Naruto had been, not Naruto had been, but he had gotten Naruto all wrong. He had made some assumptions about him in his head thanks to the way that he fights, but when Naruto wasn't in combat mode, he was an entirely different person. Kind, gentle, considerate. Kakashi, looking at Naruto, would wonder what's going to become of him, but in this moment he would smile, saying, "You all pass." As Sasuke and Sakura, who had literally done nothing, would be stunned realizing that all of them pass. Kakashi, turning towards the direction where they're hiding, would say, "You can come out now," as Sasuke and Sakura both would do so, and he would go on to explain that the point of this mission was teamwork, and though they didn't do anything, Naruto was shown that he possesses incredible selflessness, which means that he's going to be an incredible teammate, as well as with his power. And Kakashi would say he knows that Sasuke's strong as well. He would say that he thinks that the team is more than ready to go out into training, saying that for the following weeks they're going to just be doing some basic team building exercises, and he's confident that this team will be a great one, telling them that people who abandon their teammates are scum, but people who would abandon their or something are worse than scum. Everybody would nod, and for the following next 2 weeks they would embark on a bunch of D rank or E rank missions, which essentially consist of capturing cats, helping people out with yard work and stuff like that. So that being said, the team would all kind of get a little bit closer to each other, but Naruto this whole time would still, not really talk to them much. Again, like I said, not wanting to get too close to his teammates. But Sasuke just doesn't like Naruto, and the reason for that is because Sasuke just has this personality of like, I don't like people who are stronger than me, I always have to be the best mentality. I don't know, he just rubs me the wrong way in part 1. He thinks that he's all that, but the point is, in this timeline, he's not gonna be. But with that being the case, eventually the team would finally be given the bridge builder mission, and they would be assigned to protect Tazuna as escorts for the Land of the Waves mission. We immediately kick off the arc with Naruto, Kakashi, Sakura, and Sasuke making their way outside of the village. And as soon as they begin to take a couple of steps out, about 30 minutes would pass of kind of just awkward silence. Sakura would have tried to fill the void with some sort of conversation between the team and Sasuke, but trying to conversate with Sasuke was kind of pointless, and Naruto, well, it was, he'll give you a basic reply here and there, but Sasuke was just kind of cold, and he's been that way ever since the bell test. Sakura at this point would look at Kakashi, and Kakashi, knowing that she's trying to, lighten up the mood or something, or just have some conversation, would turn to Naruto, having been curious about something for a while now. He would ask Naruto whatever happened that day that he was there trying to stop whatever that was from freaking out, noting that he was fighting with that against him in the bell test, and it's with them right now. Naruto at this point would look at Kakashi and say that that's actually his mom, Kushina. going on to explain that since he's part of this team now, he might as well tell them the truth about his abilities. Going on to explain that ever since he was a kid, he's not really too sure why, but he's been able to see this large beast, this cursed energy monster behind him. And people behind him would look at him wondering what he's talking about, with Sakura saying, "I don't see anything." Naruto would look at her saying that he, as well as people with dojutsus apparently, are the only people who are actually able to see Rika, he would say, before then saying, "Rika, punch the ground." Immediately a large handprint fist would appear on the ground, having been embedded by Rika, launching a massive attack at the ground. Sakura, seeing this and feeling everything shake around her, would be like, "Whoa, I believe you now." As Kakashi, turning to Naruto, would ask what exactly happened that day, saying that he was actually present in that moment. And Naruto, looking to Kakashi, would say, "Were you the man in the mask?" Kakashi would say, "Yeah, he was." And Naruto would go on to say, "What a small world," before then saying that, yeah, that was kind of just a bad day for Rika, saying that the villagers were pretty much treating him really badly, and Rika's defense system, or, motherly instincts essentially kicked in. Sasuke, hearing this, would go on to say, "What are you talking about, Naruto? What do you mean that that's your mom? There's no such ninjutsu capable of that, or Kekkei Genkai that the village is aware of." Naruto would go on to explain that that's true, and that's why he believes that it's not a genjutsu or a Kekkei Genkai or anything of the sort. He would say that he believes it to be a separate energy source that Naruto has some access to. Not really sure what to compare it to, seeing as he wouldn't exactly know how to explain to somebody who can't see what it's like to see. It's just difficult. You wouldn't get it. Sasuke, hearing this, would realize that regardless of what it is, it's there. And Naruto goes on to explain that it's very useful in combat, seeing as Naruto doesn't actually have to do anything except kind of command Rika, and there's only certain instances where she won't listen to him, but whenever that does happen, Naruto simply has to concentrate and just kind of ask nicely, I guess you could say. Naruto would also go on to explain that sometimes Rika's mood can vary depending on how his mood is, so a lot of times he has to put himself in the right mindscape, and whenever he struggles with that, Naruto simply just looks at this, before whipping out a kunai with a bunch of markings on them. Kakashi, seeing this, would instantly recognize this as Minato's kunais that he would have used back in the day, and Naruto would say that these belong to my father, Minato Namikaze. Both of them would be stunned, with Kakashi already knowing, so Sakura and Sasuke would sit there going, "What? Minato's your father?" As he's saying this, two shinobi would come rushing at them, but before they can even get close, Rika, using her claws, would tear them limb from limb, destroying the shinobi as they would die before them, and Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi would all be stunned. Kakashi obviously knew that the shinobi were coming, but the reaction time by Rika was absolutely incredible. Naruto would have also known that they were coming, so in the moment that it happened, Naruto doesn't even tense up. In fact, he literally finishes his sentence before looking towards the direction of the dead bodies and clasping his hands together, saying he's sorry about that. As, the team kind of just stares at him and they're just like, "What is your deal?" Naruto simply turns towards them as he would go on to explain that a lot of things about him are weird, and he would go on to say that that's why he doesn't really talk a lot, but he guarantees them that he's going to be an invaluable asset to the team, saying that with that being said, he really has nothing else he needs to share with them. He simply just tells them that he hopes that they can all work together, and does definitely give them a fair warning about not ever trying to attack him unless they want to end up like them. He would point towards the two dead bodies, and Sakura and Sasuke both instantly recognize the fact that Naruto, he's not, normal. After this would take place, the team would go on to continue making their way towards the land of the waves, and as they would get closer and closer, a thick mist would all of a sudden just engulf the area. Kakashi would go on to say that he's not used to this much mist being in this general direction, and Tazuna would say that yeah, things usually aren't this bad, but for some reason, they'll just have to weather through it. The team would make their way closer towards some docks where they were going to be asking some man to pretty much take them from shore to shore, but before that could even happen, Kakashi would go on to inform the team to duck instantly, as a gigantic blade would be flung towards their direction, which Rika would grab out of the air, crushing it in her hand, as Naruto, turning towards the blade, would all too suddenly see Zabuza rushing in as the both of them make eye contact, and Naruto instantly gets into a fighting position, knowing that this man is absolutely no joke. He would see Zabuza run in there, grabbing the hilt of his blade and dodging Rika's attack all in one swift motion. As taking a hold of his sword, he would go on to pierce his arm as the iron from his blood would get on the blade, and the blade itself would actually restore itself. Zabuza would grit as he would pretty much grimace and turn towards the team, saying, "It's annoying whenever I have to restore my blade, so don't make me do it again. Listen, I'm here for the bridge builder. Hand him over or..." Before a blow would actually hit Zabuza square in the stomach, sending him crashing into the water, where Zabuza would begin to sink, and Naruto, Sasuke, and everybody there would simply just watch in shock, with Naruto obviously having used his abilities of Rika to essentially catch Zabuza off guard, who without a genjutsu or dojutsu would have completely zero awareness of where she was. That said, as Zabuza would sink in the water, he would begin wondering to himself what the heck that was, saying that none of them moved in that moment. As he would begin to break down who possibly could have done that, but the more Zabuza thought about it, the more time he was without oxygen. So Zabuza, realizing the fact that that blow came from either a massive hand or an incredibly powerful ninjutsu, I don't know why I keep messing up. This recording, I've had to stop and go so many times because I keep just messing up words over and over. And what's crazy is you guys might have heard this recording and been like, dang, he's making a lot of mistakes today. But y'all, you guys don't understand. I've made probably 30 to 40 more other mistakes in this recording. Look at that. I just did it again. I don't know. Maybe I'm not locked in or something like that. It's probably because it's 12 a.m. and I'm trying to get done a couple more minutes of this recording before I go to sleep, because tomorrow I'm gonna have to record another hour of this video. But anyways, I digress. You guys aren't here to listen to me yap about, how overworked I am. Leave a like on the video. But you guys are here to listen to the what if. Not me guilt tripping, y'all. But anyways, okay, continuing back into the battle, Zabuza would arrive back into the scene as he would begin using his water walking jutsu to essentially stand above the waves, holding his blade out, as turning towards the direction of the group, he would rush back in. All too suddenly, Kakashi, Naruto, as well as Rika would all rush towards the direction of Zabuza, and Haku, seeing this happen in a split second, would throw his Senbon at the direction of Zabuza, who simply collapses into the water. Immediately, Haku would jump into it as he would grab the limp and seemingly dead body of Zabuza, with him going on to explain to the group that he's a hunter nin. That said, Naruto, hearing this, would call BS in his mind as he would simply point towards the direction of Haku, and Rika, rushing towards Haku, who wasn't able to see it, would be sent flying across the water as he would begin sinking inside of it, and Naruto all too quickly would grab his blade from his back, recognizing that this is definitely an ally of Zabuza, and wanting to finish this battle as soon as possible because his training instincts would have kicked in, would rush in towards the direction of Haku, running on the water, as all too quickly the water would quickly turn to ice, and Naruto, recognizing that he was now running on different terrain, would slightly slip before then using chakra on the balls of his feet to essentially rebalance himself. Haku, coming out instantly, would proceed to create the demonic ice crystal mirror jutsu, opting to take Naruto out immediately. Haku in this moment would be inside of a mirror as he would essentially tell Naruto that he's dead for fighting against his master and hurting him like that. But before Haku could even jump from mirror to mirror, one of Rika's most powerful mouth beams would be shot towards the direction of the mirror, shattering it, with Haku inside, as bits and pieces of the mirror would break and Haku's body would be on the ground bleeding out. In this moment, you would just see this frozen lake with Haku's body sitting there bleeding out, and Naruto standing over it saying, "Good work, Kushina," or Rika, whatever I said we're gonna call it. From this moment, Naruto would walk back towards the team, as Kakashi would say that Naruto has to be one of the worst opponents to go up again because of Naruto's unconventional as well as unpredictable fighting styles. At this point, with Zabuza having drowned, obviously considering the fact that, Haku was pretty much knocked him out, and without removing that Senbon needle, his mitosis, that's definitely not the word, why'd I use that? His death-like state is basically keeping him under there, so he's for sure drowning. That said, the team would make their way back to Tazuna's house, where at this point we could see Naruto looking at the village and seeing the impoverished state that this place is in would feel terrible, wanting to liberate this village and free it from the clutches of Gato and his evil reign. So when the day would finally come where Gato would arrive with his men trying to essentially take care of the job himself, Naruto, with the help of Rika, would essentially rush in, creating a couple of shadow clones, at least 15, that would all rush in alongside Rika, who would crush Gato's head within her palm instantly, and he would take most of them out, with Naruto once again showing the team that he's not afraid of killing or death. That's something that Naruto has regularly seen, having Rika by his side and experiencing it for the first time when he was just 4 years old, then training to grow numb to it alongside Danzo. That said, after this would take place, Naruto would still end up having this bridge be named the Great Naruto Bridge, and with that being the case, the team would return back to Konoha, where they would inform Hiruzen of how the mission went, with Hiruzen pretty much just simply saying that that's what he would have expected from one of his most talented shinobis, as well as Kakashi in the group who shows much promise. Sasuke, hearing this, would grit his teeth as he would stare daggers at Naruto, just thinking that Naruto wouldn't be so special without his mom there to help him out. Sasuke would actually chuckle at that thought before all too quickly feeling like he was being stared at by a monster. Instantly, Sasuke would stiffen up as Rika would simply look at him, and Naruto turns to Rika saying, "Calm down, Rika." In this moment, we would pretty much get Sasuke saying, "You better not let your damn mom try to kill me, Naruto," glaring at Naruto, who would simply say that it's probably best for the team to disband for now. After that would take place, we would then get Naruto and everybody else being informed of the Chunin exams quickly. Another day, actually, it probably doesn't make too much sense to do it there, but after that would be the case, everybody would still end up agreeing to take part in this, and so just like in the original, we would get Team 7 making their way through this section until eventually a certain boy with bushy eyebrows and a bowl haircut would come in. Rock Lee would challenge Sasuke to a one-on-one fight, to which Sasuke would accept, this time being blissfully unprepared about what was to come. Not having encountered Haku in that fight that he would have had in the original, this means that Sasuke was much weaker than the one that goes up against Lee, that already gets absolutely botched by this man. So he would get absolutely destroyed, and Sasuke would just be losing aura points by the second. After this would happen, the team would go in to take their testing section, and the entire time that they were there, Naruto simply had to be begging Rika to calm down, not to kill anybody, with Naruto sending a wave of bloodlust back towards all the combatants who were currently staring at him, trying to intimidate him. All of them would immediately recognize that that is no boy, as they would all quickly look away, all but Kabuto, who would get near the team before trying to get somewhat close to Team 7, as well as all of the rookies, trying to use his pull and the fact that he's taken this exam multiple times before. But this time, Naruto would kind of just sense the BS and tell Kabuto that they're not interested. They would all make their way towards the testing section, where Naruto would be able to answer a couple questions confidently, meaning that Naruto wouldn't even have to resort to cheating, and once the final test would finally come around, Naruto would be more than confident in his ability to do it, having been trained by Danzo all these years and refining his own skills during his own personal time. That said, the team after this would move on to the Forest of Death section of the test, with Naruto not actually having that weird encounter that he would have had with Orochimaru in the original story, with him licking his face. What was that all about? But yeah, I digress. The team would go into the forest, and eventually, much like we would expect, Orochimaru would arrive onto the scene. And this is where normally in most of my what ifs, I start getting to a point where I'm just like, okay, Orochimaru pulls in and he proceeds to just stop all of Naruto's aura farming, being like 3 or 4 tiers away from Naruto and having just such an insane arsenal that Naruto has no chance against. But here, that's going to be the complete opposite, because obviously we are not aware if Orochimaru has some sort of sage jutsu, which means that his sensory capabilities aren't going to be allowing him to sense Rika. And number 2, Naruto was more than skilled enough to at least keep up with Orochimaru going at full 50%, so that's extremely impressive when it comes to what he can do. And then you have Rika's monster strength and capabilities that could one-shot Orochimaru if an attack lands correctly. The second that Orochimaru would arrive threatening the lives of everybody, Naruto would crumble underneath the bloodlust for a split second before stealing his resolve and simply shooting a wave of bloodlust back to Orochimaru, more or less trying to let him know that he's not going to be backing down. But as that would be happening, Orochimaru doesn't exactly know why, but he feels like something's coming in closer. Unfortunately for him, that gut feeling would be right, as that object would come rushing in at Orochimaru and blow him up with a single punch. In this moment, Orochimaru's head would go flying from his body, as he would literally get one tapped by Rika coming in and full power just full sending it, thanks to how Naruto's mental state was and the type of protection that she was willing to do for Naruto. You have to understand, this isn't Rika we're talking about, a weak little girl. This is Kushina as a cursed spirit. She's busted. She hasn't even begun to show what she's truly capable of, hasn't used her chakra chains, which is something that I'm actually going to be giving Rika access to in this timeline now that I thought about it. But yeah, with that being the case, Rika, after killing Orochimaru, would end up opening a path for the team to go forth and essentially finally find themselves face to face with the Sound Genin. In this timeline, because they would have killed Orochimaru with such ease, Sasuke would have actually ended up telling Naruto to hold back, that this isn't the Naruto show anymore. He, trying to show that he's able to keep up with him too, would go in to face them, but Sasuke in this moment would get absolutely embarrassed, as one of the members, Dosu, would use his sound attacks to completely disorient Sasuke, who, holding his head, would start screaming out in pain. But as that would be happening and Sasuke would be feeling anger at not being able to keep up, his eyes would tap into the ability of the Sharingan. All too suddenly, Naruto would come rushing in towards his direction, as, moving him out of the way, Naruto would deliver a fatal sword slash at Dosu, cutting him in half, with Dosu's body falling onto the ground anime style, before Rika would go on to grab the girl by the hair and drag her down to the ground before slamming her Hulk Loki style. After this would take place, Naruto would hold the sword in a reverse grip, as with one hand he would create multiple hand signs before shooting a gigantic water style jutsu. In this moment, the last remaining member would try to use a sound-based attack to kind of move the water out of his way, but that would only serve purpose to give Naruto a screen, like something that he can't see through, as Naruto, rushing in, would proceed to simply cut the man's head off, as the head would roll onto the ground, as Naruto would sheath his blade once again, treating it as though he had killed nothing but a mere cursed spirit, not treating it as a big deal, seeing as this was something that he was trained to do ever since he was a kid. That said, he would turn to the team, saying that he's glad that they were able to get what they needed and that they should head off towards the Chunin Tower. But in this moment, Naruto would actually realize that Sasuke had awakened his dojutsu, the Sharingan. Sasuke in this moment would simply be looking at Rika with fear in his eyes, going, "That thing has been with us this entire time?" Sasuke, turning towards Naruto, would say that there's no way that that thing really has been with them this entire time. And Naruto would say that his mom has been, and she's been nothing but helpful this entire time. Sasuke, looking at it, would feel just fear, discomfort, as Sasuke immediately opts to just turn off his Sharingan, not even wanting to stare at Rika, this grotesque monster, which in this timeline is not going to be the color white, but like the color red, you know, because of Kushina, or maybe she should be white with like red accents or something like that. I don't know, but there's definitely going to be some sort of red on Rika in this timeline. That said, the team would make their way towards the Chunin exams tower, and once they would end up arriving there, the team would essentially be informed that they're moving on to the next section, which they're actually going to be needing to wait a little longer for the rest of the contestants to finish. They wouldn't be the first people to arrive, because I could still see Gaara and his team being those, but they would definitely be like second to arrive, beating everybody else to the punch, with Naruto simply having a stare down moment with Gaara staring daggers at him, who would instantly look at him with the desire to murder him. Naruto, knowing that it would probably be against the rules to kill Gaara, would turn towards Rika saying no, as he would get out of there as fast as possible, knowing that if he stayed in that room any longer, Rika would likely have rushed towards the direction of Gaara, and funny enough, probably would have caused his defenses to go haywire, with Rika trying to punch, and definitely would be able to smash through the sand that would try to stop him. If Rock Lee was able to do it, there's no reason Rika wouldn't. So The team would patiently wait, and eventually they would all be told that they're going to be taking part in 1v1 battles. This time around, remember, Sasuke never ends up getting the powers of the curse mark, so his battle would be much easier than the one that he has in canon. And Naruto's fight against Kiba, well, it's kind of a bit of a replay of what ended up happening when they were kids. This time around, Naruto would start the battle off instantly by waving hand signs for a water jutsu, as a large wave would go rushing towards the direction of Kiba, who says, "This is nothing, Akamaru." They would both use the fang over fang technique, with Naruto smiling, knowing that Kiba was going to do something stupid. He would then proceed to weave hand signs with one hand, placing his hand on the water, as he would quickly go on to shoot electricity through it, which would shock Kiba and Akamaru, leaving them unconscious. Naruto at this point would walk out of the ring, as the rest of the battles would take place like they would in the original. And when Naruto would watch the Hinata versus Neji fight, in this timeline, he's not going to be feeling the emotions that Naruto would in the original. He's not even going to be like, "Neji, you went too far," because Naruto understands that, yeah, Neji did go too far, but this is a shinobi world, and if you're not ready to be beaten to a pulp like that, then you shouldn't be a shinobi. That's something that Danzo would have definitely taught Naruto over years and years of training. That said, shortly after this would take place, everybody would be announced who's going to be moving on, and they would all be told about who their next matches are going to be. With that being the case, Naruto would proceed to use this next month off to essentially continue training with Danzo, learning more and more techniques, more jutsu, but most of all, Naruto would begin developing a new curse technique, which is essentially going to be Yuta's copy technique. But because obviously this is in the Naruto world, the application is going to be a little bit different, and I can't really give a real in-series like explanation as to why this would actually be the case, other than this is Yuta's power, so I had to have implemented it somewhere, you know what I mean? So Yuta, or Naruto, is essentially going to be having the ability to combine chakra and his curse technique, and by making contact with somebody, he's able to actually steal their abilities, a Kekkei Genkai or a jutsu or whatever it is that he sees fit. But specifically, the thing that he would mostly take from people would essentially be Kekkei Genkais, which essentially ranges from Kimimara's Bone Kekkei Genkai, Haku's Kekkei Genkai, Scorch Release, all the way to Sharingans, Byakugans, Rinnegan's, and Tenseigans. It's going to be absolutely busted the more that he learns how to use this technique and applicate it into a battle. But for the time being, Naruto would start working on this technique and get to a point where he was actually able to, with the help of Danzo, who was actually able to help him use a Kekkei Genkai from Anbu members, would actually be able to copy those abilities and understand the innate techniques and workings of them. Naruto's able to actually create swords or katanas, which he's essentially going to be storing inside of Rika, which I believe is how it works. Honestly, if you're a JJK tard and like you just love the series and you're like, "Oh, that's not how it works," then shut up. All right, I haven't exactly seen the series. JJK has to have one of the most complicated powers like sets in universe I've ever seen. Why can't it just be he touches people, he copy ability, that's it? I don't know. But I digress. Point is, Naruto learns how to use this ability to copy other people's abilities, and this would make him insanely busted because his first opponent right after doing that is going to be a Byakugan user. Just imagine how busted this Naruto is going to be when once a day he has the innate ability to, for 5 minutes a day, bust out an ability as potent as the Byakugan. That's going to be insane when it comes to his application. So with that being the case, after the month would be over, that would be what Naruto would work on religiously, and by the end of it, he would have perfect mastery over this new technique that he's called copy. Alright, I'm back. It's officially day 2, so I'm feeling much better, so we're able to get started with the story. We immediately begin everything off with Naruto and Neji facing off against each other in the ring. Neji would start everything off by looking at Naruto with a cocky smirk, obviously unaware of Naruto's strange abilities when it comes to Rika and also his cursed energy, would simply tell Naruto that it's his destiny to win this battle. Naruto, hearing all this, would say nothing, simply staring at him blankly as the exam proctor would finally say, Hajime. And the second that this would happen, Naruto would go rushing towards the direction of Neji, unsheathing his blade to go for a sword feint to try to get Neji to go on his guard, to which Neji would do just that. And the moment that that would happen, Neji would instantly use the palm rotation technique as he would dodge both Rika's blow as well as Naruto's sword strike. Neji doing this would have a smirk on his face as he would say that he has the perfect defense, all the while he continues using it, while Rika would try to pound into that defense, with Naruto simply watching, saying, how long can you keep that technique up? Neji would start to get weaker and weaker as eventually he wouldn't be able to use it, and Rika would finally be able to land a blow that would actually cause Neji to be sent flying into the ground, tumbling as he would fall down, and Naruto rushing at him, using this opportunity to perfection, would touch onto Neji's chest. The moment that that would happen, Naruto's eyes would close and open, showing Neji the Byakugan. Both of their eyes would lock as Neji would say, how is that possible? And Hiyashi Hyuga, who obviously not ever wanting this technique to go into other hands, that's why the curse mark exists, so that in case any Byakugan end up being taken, they're pretty much useless. He would be pissed at this moment, saying, how does he possess the Byakugan? And Naruto, using this eye, would pretty much end up telling Neji that it's an incredible ability. However, he would hold his head and show signs of a clear headache. He says that it's a bit weird for the first time. Neji would get up, telling Naruto that he may have the Byakugan, however he obtained it, but he doesn't know how to use it, as he would rush in towards the direction of Naruto, trying to attack Naruto, all the while he's holding his head in pain, because mind you, he's seeing so much, his brain just wasn't used to it. And all while this was happening and Neji was about to land the 64 palm trigram strike, Rika would come flying in and would shoot more attacks towards the direction of Neji, who obviously, being able to see Rika, would be able to dodge a couple of them, but Rika's onslaught would be persistent, and eventually Neji would be forced back into the palm rotation technique, all the while Naruto would fall down onto one knee and decide that it's probably for the best not to use this ability. Naruto decides that he should probably train with this before he just starts taking dojutsus. He would take it off before looking towards the direction of Neji and telling him, thanks for the boost, as he would sword slash Neji using his curse technique ability on it, as Neji would fall down to the ground, and when he's already unconscious, the sword strike would actually end up causing a double impact type blow, as he would pretty much, like on the ground already, begin to start jumping up, and the dude would start convulsing all too quickly. Naruto, seeing this, would realize that he might have taken things too far, but he would throw the blood off his blade and then proceed to sheath it back in his sheath, as Naruto looks up towards the crowd, and he could see that a lot of them were just in disbelief and shock, but one of them was looking at him with rage, Hiyashi Hyuga. Naruto, seeing this, however, wouldn't even care at all, as he would continue to walk that off and just make his way towards the watching section. Naruto there would wait for the next battles to take place, and we would eventually get the iconic Sasuke vs Gaara match, with everything playing out like it would originally. This means that the sand attack would finally commence, and Aruzen vs Orochimaru would be started, which means that he's gonna die. Although while that's happening, Naruto, much like he does in most of my videos, would go off in search of Sasuke, trying to help him against Gaara. This is where things would get a bit serious, because Naruto's finally facing an opponent he believes is worthwhile. Naruto would arrive on the battlefield right before Sasuke was about to be hit by a massive attack by Gaara, as Naruto would block the attack by using Rika to pretty much tank the blow. Naruto would get up close and personal to Gaara, who would throw a massive swing in his direction, a right hook with his tail, that he has made out of sand, Naruto barely dodging it and applying contact onto his tail. Naruto in this moment would smile, as he would have copied Gaara's technique, and in this moment Naruto would jump from tree to tree, as Naruto would say, now let's try this out for the first time, as holding his hand out, he would proceed to use sand, which would shoot towards the direction of Gaara, whose eyes would go completely wide, going, how did you? With the sand attack landing on Gaara. Gaara would get pissed at Naruto, telling him that he'll kill him, that mother needs blood, rushing towards his direction trying to land an attack, but Naruto would simply dodge on the balls of his feet as though he was a boxer, like he was a Muhammad Ali, just boom, 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 dodge, 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 weave, weave, you know? until eventually Rika, seeing all this, would punch Gaara square in the stomach, sending him flying into the air, all the while Naruto would decide that this is his moment to defeat him. He would ready his blade as he would channel a ton of chakra as well as cursed energy into it, concentrating as Naruto, holding the hilt, would have a bunch of memories of his training flashing through his brain. And the second that Gaara would come down to the ground, Naruto speed blitzes him, holding the blade in a reverse grip, as shing, you would just hear the slash and Gaara's body would be cut in half. His torso from his upper half would fall off, and you would simply see Gaara literally die in this moment. As we would see Sasuke standing behind Naruto, looking at him with rage in his eyes, thinking he's so strong. He would be looking at Rika, who's simply staring back at him with the same eyes that he would have looked at him after they had completed their mission on the land of the waves. And as that would be taking place, Naruto would extend a hand out to Sasuke, telling him that they can finally go back to the village. Sasuke, turning towards Naruto, would smack his hand away, saying he doesn't need help, but they will return. And so, the two of them, making their way back to the village, would arrive to hear the news about Hiruzen's death, as well as the couple of shinobis who would have lost their lives during the fight. That being the case, the village would hold a special funeral for the Hokage, as well as for the fallen soldiers, and after that would happen, we actually in this timeline would finally get Naruto meeting Jiraiya. Jiraiya would make his introduction towards Naruto, telling him exactly who he is, that he's Jiraiya, the legendary Toad Sage, but he's also his godfather, going on to explain that he wanted to get to know him while he was in the village, with Naruto turning towards Jiraiya and seeing that the man was not evil, he had nothing wrong with him, and with his knowledge of who the Sannin were, Naruto decides that it might be a good idea to go along with this crazy Toad Sage. So they would go off in search of Tsunade for the same mission as in the original, except in this timeline, this entire time that they're together would serve the purpose of both of them getting to know each other. With that said, Jiraiya would be extremely impressed by Naruto's technique, skills, and also would be a bit shocked at the, realization that Naruto has a cursed spirit, which is apparently Kushina. That rubs him the wrong way, but knowing that Naruto, just from being with him for the last couple of moments, he understands that there's no way that this kid would have purposefully done that to his mother had he had the choice. So he wouldn't look at Naruto any differently after finding all this out, and he would simply tell Naruto that he believes that Minato would have been extremely proud of the man that he's become, telling him to stop being such a wimp though, as he smacks him on his back, telling Naruto that he's come a long way, but he could come even farther. Now in that moment, Rika actually would have gotten a little annoyed at the fact that he just tapped Naruto that hard, but obviously Jiraiya, not seeing it, wouldn't even feel fear at all, but Naruto looking at Rika would be like, chill out Rika, as we eventually get the moment in time in which Naruto's finally gonna come face to face with the Akatsuki members, Itachi and Kisame. This would all play out much like how you would expect. Naruto would be sitting inside of the room trying to understand the fundamentals of the Rasengan technique that Jiraiya would be teaching him, and in this specific timeline he would be much more further along in his training with it, because right now he's simply trying to form it with one hand and perfectly create the Rasengan. That was the step that he was already on, and he's been learning the technique way less time than the original Naruto. The reason for this, obviously, because Naruto has incredible chakra control in this timeline and also understands the fundamental way that chakra works. He's very good at it. His cursed technique, cursed energy, would also even help Naruto with some understanding of how his chakra works. And all the while this would be happening, you would just hear a knock at the door, to which Naruto, hearing that, would go to the door and open it, thinking nothing of it. But when he does so, he would be greeted to the glare of Itachi Uchiha. Naruto, realizing that this is 100% a threat, would leap back as, drawing his sword, knowing who Itachi was, his hand would slightly shake, knowing that this man was responsible for the death of the entire Uchiha clan. A clan so incredibly powerful that if not for their involvement in the Third Great Shinobi War, they would have died, and Danzo would have always taught Naruto never to look at Uchiha in the eye. So Naruto in that moment realized that he made a fatal mistake, and so he would continue looking down for the rest of the battle, but as this would happen, Rika, recognizing the fear in Naruto, would rush towards the direction of Kisame and Itachi, and Itachi, having his Sharingan active, would actually see it going, what is that? He would narrowly dodge out of the way saying, Kisame, move! Kisame would jump out of the way, narrowly dodging a blow, which Rika would blow a hole in one of the walls, before then turning towards Itachi, who she knows can see him, and holding her hands out, as 6 chakra chains would go flying towards the direction of Itachi, all the while Itachi's eyes would go wide and going, what the hell is that thing? He would watch on as the chains would wrap around his arms and legs, and as Itachi sees this, Kisame would come rushing in, trying to pretty much cut the chains off via his sword, but the second that he would get closer, Itachi would yell out, dodge Kisame, as Kisame would narrowly dodge out of the way and get closer and closer before a beam of energy would come shooting towards their direction. Itachi, seeing that this thing was incredibly powerful, would instantly awaken his Mangekyo Sharingan, as using his dojutsu, he would proceed to shoot a Materasu flames at Rika, which would begin burning her, as Rika would start screeching out in pain, going all the while Naruto would watch in shock. The second that he sees all this play out and sees that ability that Itachi has, he would think to himself that if the opportunity even presents himself to make contact with Itachi, he'll take it. And so, Rika sitting there would practically look like she's about to die, as all too suddenly, the flames would be absorbed by Rika. And this is where you might be asking, Xehther, how does that— don't ask, okay? I low-key realized that I would have low-key killed her off if that had kept going, but yeah, don't ask. The point is, after this takes place, the chains would have loosened, thanks to Rika, you know, pretty much burning alive and about to die, as Naruto gets closer and closer towards Itachi, but Kisame, being right next to him this time, would swing his blade, as Naruto would clash with Kisame's blade as well, with his cursed energy and chakra imbued into it, and the both of them would have a standstill clash. Kisame would smirk, saying, this chakra, it's so potent even Samehara loves it. Would you look at that, Itachi? Looks like we've got a fighter on our hands. As he would stare at the direction of Naruto smirking, and he would begin to ready himself to launch an attack at Naruto, but it'd be in that moment that Jiraiya would arrive, using his Toadmouth jutsu, all the while Sasuke would do the same and rush in towards Itachi, screaming, Itachi! But as he would get closer, Itachi would simply evade his attack, holding him by the wrist and then holding him up by his neck, telling him, you're still too weak, Sasuke. As Sasuke's eyes would widen and he would be forced to relive the worst night of his life over and over and over. After this would take place, Itachi, using his Amaterasu technique once more, would burn the entirety of the Toadmouth, as Kisame and Itachi would escape, and Jiraiya and Naruto would simply watch them leave. Now, some of you guys might be wondering, yo, why didn't Naruto get up close and personal to Itachi? He's not an idiot, bro. It's not like he was only trying to get close to Itachi, he also had to bypass Kisame, who, yes, Naruto by himself is an incredibly potent fighter in this timeline, but don't get it twisted. One-on-one without Rika, he's not taking Kisame out by himself still. He's just not there yet. That said, they eventually do end up finding Tsunade, and much like in the original, she would begin to just badmouth the Kage, saying that that position is thankless and a curse, that everybody who's taken that position has died young, and she doesn't feel like following that course of action. Jiraiya would make a joke saying that she won't exactly be dying young at this point, and Tsunade, looking at Jiraiya, would grit her teeth as she would say, and that's why I'm not returning to the village, as she would order another round of drinks, and Naruto would simply sit there quietly, with Tsunade saying, so who's the kid? Jiraiya, turning towards Tsunade, would see that this is the son of Minato, and he's been training him recently. She would say, oh yeah? How strong is the kid? With Naruto saying that he's pretty strong for his age, as Tsunade, realizing that she was about to run out of money, would say, really, how confident are you in your student, Jiraiya? To which Jiraiya, looking at her, would say that he's extremely confident. Before he could even finish that sentence and tell her that he could probably take him on and do very well, Tsunade would say, how about a challenge, boy? If you can land just a single blow on me, then I'll return to the village. But if you can't do it before a 5-minute timer runs out, then you have to pay my entire bill. How does that sound? Naruto, hearing that, would think to himself that that's perfect, as the battle would begin, and Tsunade being none the wiser that Rika was there the entire time, the battle would instantly begin, as Naruto would say, "Rika, hold her still." And the moment that would be said, Tsunade would feel a gust of wind go by her face, as Rika, holding on to the drunk Tsunade, would begin squeezing her. But strangely enough, Rika's monstrous strength would actually begin to be overpowered by Tsunade, who, doing her best, would force Rika's grip to loosen, all the while Naruto would rush in towards Tsunade saying checkmate, and he would land a point blank Rasengan, saying that he finally figured it out, landing it on her chest, as Tsunade would be sent flying completely unconscious. Tsunade would have been knocked out in her drunk state, and with that being the case, Lady Shizune would go up to Tsunade saying, "Are you okay, Tsunade?" She taps her in the face, realizing that yeah, she's fine, she's just knocked out. And so she would go on to say that she'll tell Tsunade what happened with the bet tomorrow, but for now that this fight is pretty much done for. She would look at Naruto, realizing just how strong he is, with her being like, she never should have taken that bet. As Naruto thinks to himself, no wonder she's named the legendary loser. With Jiraiya tapping Naruto on the back saying, "Attaboy, you got Tsunade to return to the village. She'll probably be pissed when she wakes up, so watch her back." Naruto would turn to Jiraiya saying that if she reacts the way that he thinks she might, in terms of like trying to kill him or something like that, or fight him, she might die. And he would say, "Trust me, Tsunade's not going to be getting killed by whatever that thing is that you have." As Naruto would look at Jiraiya and say, "It's my mom." And Jiraiya would say, "Exactly, that's why I called it a thing. Nothing scarier than a pissed off mom," except he would think to Tsunade back in the day when she nearly killed him. Maybe that monster. As Jiraiya pretty much continues on with his day, and the very next day would come around where Orochimaru, Kabuto, and the Sannin, yeah, that's the word, the Sannin would end up having their encounter. The battle would all begin with Kabuto versus Tsunade and Naruto, unlike in the original, and in this timeline, Naruto would actually go on to solo Kabuto. Kabuto can't even see Rika, so there's no way that he's going to be able to do a thing against this version of Naruto, who using Rika's either going to be able to punch Kabuto one good time with a max power blow, blowing the dude up and killing him for good, holding Kabuto in place, leading to Naruto landing either a curse slash or a Rasengan, or Naruto's going to be able to have her hold him still to pretty much shoot a water style jutsu, a wind style jutsu, or a lightning style jutsu. Or did I say fire? I think I did say fire. But regardless, he's dead. He's dead. No matter how you slice it, the dude's dead. So yeah, Orochimaru, realizing that this version of Naruto was just so potent, would essentially reverse summon himself out of that situation and run away with his tail between his legs. Naruto, Tsunade, and Jiraiya would return back to the village, where once there, Tsunade would heal Sasuke and Kakashi. But when Sasuke would wake up, just like in the original, he would go on to challenge Naruto, saying that he wants to fight him one-on-one and to not hold anything back. That said, Naruto, hearing this from Sasuke, would realize that he probably needs this fight, and so Naruto would get serious, taking a breather in as he would think, "Alright Sasuke, you've asked for this." Breathing out, he would open his eyes as he would awaken the ability of the Byakugan, and Sasuke, seeing this, being stunned for the first time, realizing that Naruto has this ability, because remember, he wasn't present for the battle between Naruto and Neji, and Naruto, after all this time, would have had more than enough time practicing with the ability 5 minutes a day for the past 2 to 3 weeks, that Naruto would easily have had a perfect control over the Byakugan, at least not in the way that the Hyuga use it, but simply to use it to see everything in the battlefield. That said, Sasuke would rush in towards Naruto, asking him how he awakened that ability, and he would come in with a thunderous kick, which Rika, using her arm, would block, to which Naruto would spin and slash at Sasuke's shirt, making sure not to cut his stomach, because if he did, his entire bowels would have came out of his body. Sasuke, realizing that Naruto was holding back, would say, "Don't hold back, damn it," as he would tell Naruto that he's deadly serious, beginning to charge up a Chidori and saying that if Naruto doesn't take this seriously, he's dead. He would rush in towards the direction of Naruto and try to pierce him with the Chidori, but obviously Rika would come in trying to, hit Sasuke away, but Sasuke, using the speed that he gets thanks to the Chidori, would dodge out of the way, as he would, using precision, would be able to get close enough to Naruto, who quickly forms the hand signs for a Rasengan, and we would get a classic Chidori Rasengan clash. Rika would come in to attack Sasuke in this moment, but Naruto would say, "Rika, no!" And as this is happening and the Chidori and Rasengan would be clashing, Sasuke would feel his arm beginning to shake, and it would almost be as if he would lose his arm in this moment. But luckily, Rika, not listening to Naruto, would punch Sasuke as his ribs would break and he would be sent crashing into the water containers that would have usually been destroyed by Naruto and Sasuke. He would break it open as water would fall all over Sasuke, and Naruto sees that his arm is in horrible condition, not to mention he definitely broke a few ribs, judging by the impact of that strike. Naruto would actually turn towards Rika and think that if it wasn't for Rika's help, Sasuke actually might have had permanent damage on his arm. So he would turn to Rika thanking her, as he would then grab Sasuke's unconscious body and pick him up, opting to take him back to the nurse's office. All the while Kakashi had just arrived, and seeing the battle aftermath, will tell Naruto that he shouldn't have used the jutsu of that level on Sasuke. To which Naruto would nod, saying that he's right and that he took things too far. Sasuke simply needed to fight, not to be knocked unconscious. He would put him back in his room as Tsunade would heal him once more, and Sasuke would wake up a few hours later to the Sound Force shinobi standing in his room with an offer that he just couldn't refuse. Plus, regardless of whether he refused or not, Sasuke was coming with them, so better for him to have actually came with them on good terms rather than bad ones. So Sasuke in this timeline, because he still doesn't have the curse mark, Orochimaru hadn't placed it on him, he would simply agree to go train with Orochimaru, simply based off the fact that these shinobi were here and he knows that they even outclass him by a lot. So Sasuke, wanting to have this power that they had pretty much flashed before him, the power of the curse mark, would easily go on to accept this offer that the Sound Four would propose to him, as he would make his way towards the direction of Orochimaru. But interestingly enough, I could see two things happening. One is the scenario in which, because Sasuke is not unconscious, they're able to arrive at Orochimaru's base much faster than they do in the original, meaning that the team that would be sent to track them wouldn't be able to reach them in time, and Sasuke would already be with Orochimaru. Or scenario 2, which I think is the one that we're going to be going with, they're still able to catch up because their pace that they're traveling at is the same one that they have in the original. So I'm going to be saying that when we get the final battle between Naruto and Sasuke, Sasuke doesn't even have access to the curse mark. And seeing as we just saw a battle take place between Naruto and Sasuke on the rooftop of the hospital, I'm pretty sure you guys can imagine how this fight would play out, with Sasuke not having the abilities of the curse mark active. So with that being the case, Naruto would actually go through this entire thing, the gauntlet of the Sound Four and Kimimaro and Sasuke at the end, unfazed. The dude would have had nothing but scuff marks by the end of everything, and he would have even ended up picking up new techniques, or technically a new technique, because seeing Kimimaru's Bone Kick Genkai, Naruto was not going to be letting the opportunity to copy his ability slip by. Naruto, instantly tapping into the ability of the Kick Genkai, would use his bones to shoot bones at the direction of Kimimaru, realizing that this Kick Genkai comes with one strong drawback: pain. And as Naruto would force bones out of his body to fight against Kimimaru, he would begin to be pushed back, with Naruto thinking that fighting fire with fire in this case is just not going to be working out for him. And so, Rika, coming in out of nowhere, would proceed to send a punch towards the direction of Kimimaru that sends him tumbling to the ground, as Naruto would go on to tell him that if he's the last line of defense, then Sasuke will return to the village. He would fight him as the battle would drag on for a little bit of time, before Naruto would finally end up rushing in with the cursed sword strike, landing it on Kimimaru as it would destroy the bones, cutting them like they were butter, even in Kimimaru's curse mark 2 state, as Naruto would show the difference between their powers all along. And then he would finally catch up to Sasuke, who, seeing Naruto instead of in the original acting cocky, would say, "Why? Why don't you ever leave me alone? Naruto, what do you gain from stopping me to go with Orochimaru? And Naruto turns to him saying that it's his mission. That's what he gains. He's here to do his mission and he has to do it well. That's how he was trained. Sasuke would look at him telling him that that village has nothing left to offer him. And if he drags him back, what then? He'll try to leave again. Naruto hearing this would say that he'll stop him again, and Sasuke gritting his teeth would say over and over and over, "You've gotten in my way, Naruto." But this time, it'll be different. He would tap into his Sharingan, revealing 2 Tomoe and 3 Tomoe in one eye. As Naruto seeing this in Sasuke's eyes would realize that he's grown far more powerful. But Naruto would actually shock Sasuke as he would activate his own Sharingan. Sasuke seeing this would grit his teeth saying, "Damn it, Naruto, when did you copy my Kike Genkai?" As Naruto turning towards Sasuke would say that he did it when Sasuke was unconscious at the hospital. Sasuke being pissed at this will tell Naruto that this time he'll kill him for sure, charging up the Chidori as he would rush in towards the direction of Naruto, but this time, funny enough, instead of opting to actually attack Naruto, he would go for Rika first, piercing the Chidori into Rika's chest as Rika would screech and then push Sasuke away, to which Naruto, seeing Rika in so much pain, would say "Mom!" as he would rush in with his blade and strike at Sasuke, similarly to how he would have done so to Neji in the Chunin exams. As Sasuke's body would fall limp in that moment, and Naruto seeing that his mom or Rika was okay, he would calm down, grabbing Sasuke and tossing him over his shoulders as he would return Sasuke to the Hidden Leaf Village, where once Naruto would return, he would end up being told about the fact that he's now essentially going to be going off on a training journey with Jiraiya. He's learned pretty much all that he can in the village alongside Danzo, and Naruto thinks that he has a lot that he could learn by going off and exploring the world. So many Kike Genkai out there that he could possibly run into. So Naruto, happy as ever, would actually decide that it might be a good thing to leave the village with Jiraiya. And so the 3-year time skip would commence, which during this time, Naruto would get infinitely better at using his curse technique abilities and would even end up developing his domain expansion. Honestly, domain expansions in Jujutsu Kaisen, I don't really understand what the requisites are, how they're learned, or, positive energy plus positive energy. I don't know. I don't get it, all right? I'm not like the craziest Jujutsu Kaisen understander. I've only seen season 1 and a bit of season 2. I just really haven't had the time to fully invest myself into it quite yet, just because the day that I was able to watch season 1, I was pretty much doing nothing. But lately, I've been making video after video after video, which is actually a pretty good thing. I'm pretty happy that most of you guys are enjoying that. So if you guys want me to continue making banger after banger, then please do me a favor, leave a like on the video. What was I saying before that again? I forgot. Anyways, let's get back into the story. Time skip. Yeah, time skip. Over the course of this time skip, Naruto's main focus would have essentially been on his swordsmanship capabilities as well as his synchronized fighting with Rika. And safe to say, Naruto at this point is just unbelievably busted. Naruto has access to so many Kike Genkai, and that's what Naruto would have actually spent the majority of his time working on. If you guys remember, OG Naruto had a tough time training with Jiraiya just because of the fact that Jiraiya had to polish up many skills that were just all wrong. Imagine all your life you would throw in a punch wrong and all of a sudden you were now being taught how to fix that. That's what Naruto would have trained in the original, which is why all he ended up getting was the Big Ball Rasengan and, becoming faster, stronger, taller, etc. In this timeline, Naruto genuinely would train with new Kike Genkais all the time and would become so talented by using these abilities to his advantage that it was just not even fair. Naruto in and of himself was a walking cheat code. The dude was already at Obito's level and he was only 16 and a half years old. The dude had hacks on the level of Obito's Kamui, so safe to say that by the end of this time skip, Naruto was literally the walking definition of him. Right? He's just busted. Rika herself would have even gotten stronger with Naruto getting stronger. I think that's how it works. I'm not too sure. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Finally, I'll let you guys correct me. I already know that even if the video's not done, I can already see the comments. Actually, Xehther, that's not how Rika's power worked at all. You don't understand. Like, shut up, bro. Shut up. I don't care. You watched the video up to this point, didn't you? Exactly. I don't know why I'm beefing with y'all as if somebody's actually said something, but I'm just sitting here in my room. Like, I'm already triggered and I know that you guys haven't said anything. And you know what's crazy? Me saying that's probably feeding to you guys who are gonna say something, which is just, whatever. Point is, Naruto has gotten insanely powerful over the course of this time skip, and now the only remaining arcs are pretty much the endgame stuff. So, let me go ahead and wrap this story up like a Subway sandwich. We continue our story with Naruto returning to the village, and once that would happen, Naruto would arrive to be greeted to Sakura and Sasuke, who both would have bumped into him by chance once he would have ended up making his way inside the village. With that happening, Naruto would turn to Sasuke saying, "So you didn't escape now, did ya?" With Sasuke looking at him and kind of just being like, "Damn Naruto," with Sakura saying, "Oh, he tried, but he wasn't able to pull it off, and eventually he decided to just stay in the village. I mean, after all, you did defeat him." Naruto turns to Sakura saying, "I don't know if I would say defeated him as much as I would say I stopped him. He's not attacking us just because Rika ended up landing a blow, which I don't think would happen under normal circumstances again, with him knowing that I have an ability to hit people without them even realizing what's there." It'd be at this point that Sakura would ask Naruto how the heck he's doing, saying that he looks so much taller, like he's grown so much over the past couple of years, and he would go on to say that he has, saying that his time with Jiraiya has been good to him. He's grown as a person, grown as a shinobi, and he just feels like a new person, I guess you could say. The main thing that would have changed with Naruto is his personality. Naruto now is more social, talks to people, lets people in, and would be more similar to Yuta once he actually became accustomed to Jujutsu society. That said, the team would catch up for a little longer before shortly bumping into Jiraiya, who would go on to explain to them that they need to go meet up with Tsunade and let her know how their training went. Naruto, hearing that from Jiraiya, would say alright, as they would make their way there and greet Tsunade, who would have been waiting for their entrance. That said, she would go on to ask Jiraiya how training went, and Jiraiya would go on to say that Naruto, after their little time skip, has definitely become one of the strongest shinobis in the village. She would go on to ask how strong exactly, with Naruto, saying that he's become a decent bit stronger, saying that nowadays, he bets he could beat anybody here. Tsunade, hearing that, would say, "You think you can take on my student?" As it'd be at this point that Naruto would look at Tsunade with a raised eyebrow, wondering, "Who's your student?" And in would walk in Sasuke Uchiha. After Naruto would have left the village, Sasuke would have ended up receiving special training from Tsunade, seeing as they had a really hard time getting Sasuke to remain in the village without the proper incentive. Eventually, Kakashi and Sakura would come to the realization that he was not going to be trying to stay in the village, and so they ended up asking Tsunade if she could potentially teach Sasuke a thing or two, since they realized that Sasuke was clearly looking for some training via a legendary Sannin, and since they had one readily available, they thought that that was probably the best option. So eventually Sasuke would have caved to the notion and eventually joined Tsunade, or Sakura, as one of her students. He ending up learning these capabilities that Tsunade could teach him, such as like channeling chakra through your fists to become an absolute monster when it comes to the blows that you hit, would definitely be helping Sasuke a lot. But the main thing would be the 100 healings jutsu, which is the thing that he's going to be learning from Tsunade the most, an ability granting him healing like no other. The dude could regenerate entire limbs if he wanted to now, thanks to Tsunade's special technique, and Sasuke would even be having that little crystal thing that Sakura has on her forehead. Both of them are obviously on different levels in terms of their training, and Sasuke also on top of that would have ended up learning his lightning style jutsus that he would have developed in the original. That said, Tsunade with a confident stare at Naruto would ask if he's willing to take on a light spar with Sasuke, and Naruto turning to Sasuke would say he doesn't think that that's a good idea, to which Sasuke would second, saying that he agrees. Naruto just returned to the village, he doesn't exactly want to be in the hospital after coming back. Naruto hearing that would turn to him going, "What did you just say?" With Sasuke saying, "You heard me. This time, I'm stronger, and there's no way that that thing behind you is going to be helping you out in our battle." With Sasuke turning his Sharingan on to stare daggers at Rika, with Naruto simply holding Rika back, saying, "Don't worry, we'll show him what's up." Right after this would happen, Naruto and Sasuke would engage in a sparring battle, in which the both of them would be told to take things lightly, that they're not able to take things too far. Naruto at this point would look at Sasuke asking him if he really is ready, as Sasuke, unsheathing his blade, holding it in a reverse grip, would smile telling him he absolutely is, and Naruto, standing there with his Yuta drip on, would simply stare back at Sasuke, activating his own Sharingan, as he would stare at him telling him, I figure I might as well even out the playing field. Sasuke would activate his own Sharingan and tell him to come at him. Immediately, Sasuke would channel chakra through his blade, turning it into a lightning blade as they would clash, and Naruto, using his cursed energy alongside chakra channeled in his blade, would be able to counter Sasuke perfectly. The two of them, in terms of swordsmanship, are actually pretty evenly matched up. And Naruto would be facing off against Sasuke without the help of Rika, showing how much growth he truly has done. Over the course of time that he was without all of this stuff, Naruto has learned to stop over relying on Rika for any single time that he gets into a fight. So the battle would be a really close one, and eventually, as the both of them were about to really get serious, Tsunade would call the match, saying that that's enough. She would punch at the ground as both of them would start shaking on it, and they would both turn to her, saying that the match was just getting serious. At that point, Tsunade would say that's exactly why they stopped, as she goes on to inform the team that for now, that's enough. After this would happen, Naruto would turn to Sasuke as he would tell him he's impressed at his skills, and Sasuke would say the same, saying that he didn't expect him to be able to keep up with him physically, but clearly, Naruto's been doing just as much growing as he has, with Naruto telling him right back at ya. As Sasuke and Naruto both looking at each other, not exactly liking each other, they would kind of just nod, understanding that they're gonna have to, kind of be around each other for the next couple of years, and with their little fight and having finally been over, they decided that they're just gonna let bygones be bygones. That said, because of Gaara's death in the series, that means that eventually the Jinchuriki that he was holding, or why did I say Jinchuriki? He's the Jinchuriki, not the tailed beast. Anyways, the tailed beast that he's holding inside of him eventually is going to be reforming because it's created from pure chakra, but I don't really feel like getting into those details, so let's just simply say that when it comes to the Sand Village mission that they have, that never happens. Obviously, without Gaara having the One Tails, there's no chance for the Akatsuki to kidnap him. But let's just say for story purposes sake that the Akatsuki are able to capture the One Tails via, once it reforms, they're the first to arrive and take the One Tails. So with that said, Deidara and Sasori are still not going to be characters that the team would encounter. And instead, the team would actually be sent off on a different mission in order to capture a shinobi who has currently been doing some bad stuff. Honestly, the only reason that I'm adding this section is just to replace this arc with something else and have the battle be something different. Naruto is going to be getting a Kekkei Genkai out of this experience, however, because the ninja that they're going to be hunting is going to be a ninja from filler arcs of Shippuden named Gurren. She essentially has an ability called Crystal Release, yeah, I think that's what it is. And in case you guys are wondering, I once actually made a video series on that, so go check it out. What if Naruto would Crystal Release? But side plug aside, Naruto and the team would end up encountering this villain, and because of the fact that it's Sasuke, Sakura, Naruto, and Kakashi against Gurren, obviously this mission is namely just here for Naruto to end up taking the Kekkei Genkai, which is a very potent one. It's similar to Ice in the sense that you can capture your opponents in the crystal. You're also able to create crystal-like weapons and shoot crystals out of your hands, obviously. So it's very similar to Ice Release since he never ended up getting that. And instead, we're going to be replacing that ability with Gurren's Crystal Release. That said, I believe that the events that take place after that mission would essentially be the Tenchi Bridge arc, where Naruto, Sasuke, and the group would go off in search of Sasuke, but because obviously Sasuke's not with Orochimaru in this timeline, I can see Orochimaru having used somebody else's body as a vessel. Who would that body be? I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna be having to choose from one of the characters that would have formed part of Team Taka or somebody else, but the likelihood of him probably taking over the body of either Jugo or Suigetsu is one of those things that I'm just highly considering. So I'm gonna be saying that for the time being, Orochimaru would take over the body of Suigetsu, and that's gonna be the character that Orochimaru would be using in terms of his new body, at least whenever the team would maybe encounter him. I'm not really too sure what I want to do with Orochimaru at this point, but regardless of that, The team would be sent on other missions, and around this point in the story, I believe is where Asuma would die. So that still takes place like it would in the original, and Team 7 would be sent its backup in order to go face off against Kakuzu and Hidan. With that being the case, I'm not entirely sure if Hidan's immortality jutsu is a jutsu or if it really is Jashin. I did also make a series of what if Naruto was immortal. Go check that out now. It's like a 2-hour video. It's great. A lot of people loved it. Okay, I keep doing shameless plugs in this video. I don't know what's up with me today, but maybe I'm just in a good mood. Maybe something else. I don't know. Regardless, Naruto stepping forth in the battlefield against Kakuzu would arrive there, but Naruto's personality not being kind of the show-off type of character would mean that I could actually see Sasuke being the one to handle Kakuzu instead. With Sasuke essentially arriving to the battlefield and immediately showing off a new technique, kind of just to aura farm in front of Naruto, Sasuke would use his ability, Kirin. With this timeline, there being rain in the area, meaning that Sasuke was actually able to use the ability, and with that being the case, Sasuke would be able to use Kirin to absolutely obliterate Kakuzu, who would be destroyed just like he would have been if Naruto would have pulled out the Wind Rasen Shuriken. So, with that being the case, we're able to kind of just fast forward to events that would take place in the story. And in this timeline, once Jiraiya would go off in search of the leader of the Akatsuki, Naruto's still not going to be aware of this because Jiraiya would have decided to go off on this mission on his own. This means that he would leave Naruto behind in the village and ultimately die. But fortunately for the squad, because of the way that the events shape out towards this section of the story, Itachi's death would be getting closer and closer, which means that I can still see Itachi sending a crow out to Itachi, and with that being the case, Sasuke, much like he would in the original, bringing Team Taka to help him with this, would end up bringing Naruto, Sakura, and Kakashi along, as this would be a mission that would actually be assigned to them via Tsunade, once she finds out the stakes and knows how important this is to her student. This would even be a bit personal to her, with her feeling like a bit of a grandmotherly role to Sasuke. She would love this kid, and that's a big freaking deal considering the fact that Sasuke also feels the same about Tsunade. At first, the two of them wouldn't have liked each other because of the methods that they got brought together, but I could see Sasuke and Tsunade getting closer via training, because she's not exactly going to be trying to steal his body, so Sasuke's able to just let his guard down and learn from her and take in whatever he can from Tsunade. This means that they would end up having an awesome relationship in the story and eventually end up creating this bond where Sakura ends up becoming Sasuke's girlfriend, which I forgot to mention. She definitely does so because he remains in the village, and Sasuke just becomes an incredible fighter in this timeline. His battle against Itachi is going to be having levels of easiness just thrown on top of it. So with that being the case, let's get into the battle between Sasuke and Itachi. The battle finishes, Sasuke kills Itachi. Alright, that's all there is to it. Really, the only change to this part of the story is obviously that Sasuke doesn't have the power of the curse mark, so the only change really is going to be the fact that he never ends up getting Orochimaru pulled out of him via the Totsuka blade that Itachi would use. But that would also have another interesting change to the story, the fact that Sasuke has access to the 100 healings jutsu. That's a big freaking deal, because whenever Itachi would land damage on him, he would smile knowing that his brother would be fine. So this version of Itachi was able to push Sasuke to a greater extent, actually forcing Sasuke to grow further than he would have in the original because of the battle. And all the while that was taking place, we would see a battle ensue between Naruto and Kisame. Once they would end up arriving to the gate of the village outpost, the village hideout, Naruto would see, or technically come face to face with Kisame. Naruto staring at him would say, "So, you're the one in my way." He would go in to tell him to step out of the way that the team's passing, but he would simply tell him that that's not happening, with a grin on his face saying that it's been a while, boy, saying you've grown a bunch. Naruto would go on to grab his blade, and in an instant, with Naruto without even taking his sword out of the blade, simply using his cursed energy, would simply slash at the direction of Kisame. This time knowing that that blade is able to absorb chakra, Naruto would put absolutely no chakra flow into it, and he would actually cause Kisame to go flying out of why did I say Kisame? He would cause cause Kisame's blade to go flying out of his hand, as Naruto in one swift motion would say Rika. With Rika coming in and Kisame having no way to see it, Rika would be able to gradually hold onto Kisame, who would try to break out using his monster strength, but that would be when chains would engulf the body of Kisame, completely limiting his movement, as Naruto would simply smirk saying, checkmate. And in an instant swipe up with his blade, as he would cut Kisame from his from like downwards in the area that guys have, all the way to his head. Kisame's body would fall dead on the ground, and Sakura, seeing that, would just kind of throw up a bit in her mouth. Kakashi would think that that was a bit of a gruesome method to kill him, but Naruto, not even having unsheathed his blade, would say that that guy was a real jerk to him back in the day. As he would remember his last encounter with Kisame, Naruto putting his blade back in place, not sheathing it obviously, but kind of like putting it back in its holster where he normally has it hanging off his side, would walk inside to see the massacre that was currently happening between Itachi and Sasuke. And funny enough, you would pretty much get a scene of Sakura cheering Sasuke on like a cheerleader, with Itachi noticing this and actually smiling slightly in the midst of the battle. Kakashi would have been the only one noticing this, thinking, are you even evil, Itachi? But regardless, the team would stand by as they would see Sasuke be pushed to his limits, and eventually Itachi would whip out the Susanoo, leading to his ultimate death, telling Sasuke that he loves him, or that he's proud of him. What is it that he tells him at the end? Comment that down below. Yeah, that's actually a question for you guys. What does he tell Sasuke? I had forgotten. It's been a while since I've seen that scene. But regardless of the fact, that would take place, and like in the original, Obito would arrive ready to poach Itachi's eyes, not to mention also take Sasuke and try to get him to join Team Akatsuki. However, unlike in the original, Sasuke has his friends here by his side, Naruto, Sakura, and most importantly, Kakashi, who's able to apply more help than any of them, considering the fact that he does have Obito's other eye, which is going to be a huge deal when it comes to Naruto taking his Kekkei Genkai ability. That said, Obito would arrive to Sasuke's body as he would be down on the ground holding on to Itachi's corpse, and he would say, I expected as much from you, but the way that battle played out, you really are special, Sasuke Uchiha. He would go on to reveal his name using the alias Madara Uchiha, as stunning Sasuke hearing that name would say, that's impossible, you're dead. But regardless of the fact, Obito would tell him that he wants him to join forces with him. And Sasuke, looking at him and turning towards his team, would say he's good. Obito in this moment, getting angry, would say that he wasn't asking, as he would grab onto Sasuke, but in an instant Naruto would speed blitz towards his direction, unsheathing his blade as Rika and himself would rush towards the direction of Obito, as he would slash and Rika would throw a punch, but both of them would phase right through him. Obito in this moment would show off the fact that not only does he have an ability to become intangible, which means that he's going to be a huge threat to Naruto in this story, but he also has the ability of seeing Rika. Naruto has finally met his match, and in this moment he's going to be having to pull out every single one of the stops in order to defeat Obito. That said, Obito, using his Madara Chad voice, would go on to say, what is that thing? As Naruto would say it's none of his concern, rushing in once again with his blade as he would watch Obito phase through it once more. Naruto, seeing this, would realize that whoever this is clearly going to be giving him problems. He would use his phasing abilities to phase through attacks, and shockingly enough, Naruto would realize something. A glaring weakness. So long as Obito is phasing, he can't attack him. So Naruto's whole strategy would pretty much end up devolving to him keeping Obito on the defensive while simultaneously trying to attack, trying to see if he can create any openings. This would ultimately fail because as many times as he would strike at the air, nothing would hit. And Sasuke, being out of commission thanks to the battle he had just had with his brother, would be completely unable to help. However, that doesn't apply to Sakura, who would jump into the battlefield throwing a gigantic punch which shatters a large area of the battlefield, with her being angered at the fact that she also couldn't land a blow. Kakashi in this moment would awaken his Mangekyo Sharingan, and all too quickly, Kakashi would come to the realization that their eyes are linked, as Kakashi would realize that that man has to be Obito Uchiha. In this moment, Kakashi would yell his name out as Obito, frozen for just a second, would turn towards him as he would phase, and Obito would appear in front of Kakashi, trying to land an attack, knowing that if there's anybody who can create a problem for him, it's Kakashi. However, in that moment, Rika comes flying towards him with another claw scratch that, if landed, would have been deadly, so Obito has to phase, and simultaneously Naruto, realizing that he views Kakashi as the biggest threat, would hold on to Kakashi, copying his Sharingan technique as Naruto would now awaken, the Mangekyo Sharingan. Blood would begin pouring out of his eyes as Naruto would stare at Obito with 2 Kamui Sharingan in his eyes. Naruto in this moment would rush in towards the direction of Obito as he would consciously have to think about phasing, and his entire being would phase into the Kamui dimension, with Obito stunned that Naruto was able to figure that out in such a short period of time. Naruto, however, would credit this feat to his training with Danzo. He had become an entirely different shinobi, training with somebody like that who pretty much views things as get things done or you're a failure. That being said, Naruto would tell Obito that he's better off simply fighting him one-on-one here, and that involving himself out there is not going to lead to good outcomes, saying that if he phases here, his body will go out there. Isn't that right? With Naruto having understood how the technique works. Naruto turning towards Obito would smile, telling him that he's checkmated him. That's the word I'm looking for. Regardless though, Obito would be extremely angry at this, and all too suddenly he would decide that he's gonna go in for an ultra kill attack. Why did I say it like that? But a killing attack. He would rush in towards the direction of Naruto as Naruto would do the same, and Obito would attempt to stab a steel rod into Naruto, to which Naruto, using his bone Kikigenkai at the last moment, would have bones pierce out of his body that would wrap around the attack Obito would try to use, meaning he blocked it, as simultaneously Naruto would stab his blade into Obito's heart, piercing his chest and then beginning to twist the blade as he would tell Obito that he's done. Obito, however, in a final moment of desperation, would look up at Naruto, who would be stunned that he's still alive. He had stabbed him with a full power blade strike, as he would then go on to pierce Naruto's stomach with an attack so potent that Naruto would fall down onto both knees. In this moment, Rika would roar, seeing the attack that would have landed on Naruto, who had dropped his guard, thinking that there's no way that anybody could have even stayed alive after an attack like that. He had never seen something like that. He didn't realize Obito's durability was really that potent, but it was, since we were able to see that Obito had his heart literally pierced by Kakashi and was still able to fight. That dude is a beast. But regardless, with that being the case, Naruto would fall down onto the ground, as in this moment Obito would view himself as the winner, thinking that now he only has to take out Sakura and Kakashi. Obito would go back into the real world as he would begin to absolutely decimate them. The battle would last for about 12 seconds as Obito would be about to kill Kakashi, landing the finishing blow, but Naruto would arrive at last second, having used not only reverse curse technique, but finally for the first time in the series, the abilities of the Nine Tails to heal himself rapidly, as he would appear back in the real world and all too quickly would use an attack which he's named Continental Slash. A pink energy would coat his blade as he would slash off the head of Obito as it would fall down onto the ground, and Naruto would simply stand there saying that he wasn't dead. Kakashi in this moment would look down onto the ground as, seeing the body of his friend, wouldn't know whether to cry or feel happy at the fact that they had defeated him. But he would take his eye and then, pretty much put it in like a container, as looking towards the body of Sasuke, who at this point was unconscious because of the battle, would simply throw him over his shoulder, looking to Naruto, who has his shirt completely torn off from his stomach, asking him if he truly tanked an attack there. Naruto would say that he picked up a new technique called reverse curse technique, essentially allowing him to heal himself to an extreme extent, and Kakashi, hearing that, would smile, saying that he's glad. That being the case, the team would return back to Konoha, with Naruto having defeated the only character who feasibly could possibly stand in his way. Obviously, maybe Pain actually could do so, considering that he's going to be fighting multiple opponents at one. And I mean, obviously that's the last character that I'm about to cover, the final fight, if we're being honest. So with that being the case, Naruto and the team would return back to the village, and after word would get to Pain that Obito was finally dead, this means that Obito was no longer in the way to intrude on his plans, because both of them had different means of what they were going to do once they obtained the Ten Tails. With him out of the picture, he would launch a full-scale attack on the Leaf Village when nobody was aware, and so the Shinra Tensei attack would go throughout the entire village, causing catastrophic damage as all of the paths of Pain would arrive there. But what Pain wasn't counting on was the fact that not only is he facing off against Naruto, who honestly in a 1v1 battle, this would definitely be an interesting one, because yes, he doesn't have the ability to phase, but the Diva Path's ability to shoot and to push and pull him with his Rinnegan, as well as all the summons that he has access to distract Rika, and the separate paths of Pain that all have separate individual skills, would definitely have been a pretty difficult matchup for Naruto. However, unfortunately for him, in this timeline Kakashi's alive, and we saw him nearly take out the Diva Path and another one in the original series. And Sasuke's also here, not to mention that he now has the EMS, thanks to awakening the Mangekyo Sharingan and having the other eyes implanted into him via Tsunade, the greatest medical ninja the world has ever seen. That said, when Pain would arrive in the village, not only would he be pressed by Naruto, who would arrive nearly instantly using the body flicker jutsu, but he would stand in front of 6 paths of Pain as to his left Kakashi would arrive, unshowing his Sharingan, as Sasuke would do the same, and Naruto would simply smile as his dual Mangekyo Sharingan would awaken, and Naruto in this moment would create a gigantic Susanoo, Sasuke doing the same thing, and Kakashi using his Kamui ability to instantly snipe off one of the paths of Pain's heads off. In this moment, all 3 of them would look at each other in sync, and Naruto would tell Rika, "Use your chains!" Chains would wrap around a couple of the characters, and Sasuke all too quickly using a Matarasu would burn them, or at least would try. The Diva Path in a last act of desperation would shoot the ability which pretty much pushes everything away. I forget the name sometimes, but it would push the flames out of the area. As Sasuke seeing this would smile, and Naruto realizing that now he has an opening would rush in. However, 5 seconds would pass and boom, a wave would hit him once more. In that moment, that path would actually flow up into the air as it would begin using that asteroid move, which pretty much allowed him to create a gigantic meteor in the air and suck everything into it. Naruto, however, having the destructive power of a Susanoo on his hand, thanks to, Obito, or sorry, technically Kakashi, Naruto would go on to use his blade to slash it in half, and the Diva Path would simply be left standing as nothing but target practice. All too quickly, Sasuke uses his Amaterasu on it as the Diva Path would burn to ashes, and Naruto, seeing this happen, would smile, thinking that the threat was finally over. However, that wasn't it, because Pain wasn't exactly dead. Remember, Naruto in this timeline doesn't have Sage Mode, so he's not able to actually sense that Nagato is there. So that means that Nagato never fully dies, but with him knowing how powerful Naruto is, and the fact that this village is as loaded as it is, I'm not entirely sure if he would try to attack again, knowing that that's just stupid. Konan would probably even tell him to give up on this goal, and he would probably get super pissed at Konan, saying that they're so close to their goals he can practically taste it, but ultimately, he does not do a thing to Naruto. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is around the area where I think the story would end, just because after that takes place, I can't really see too much more going down in the story, to be honest with you guys. Other than a potential possible 5 Kage summit happening where the Raikage would go on to essentially say that Killer B was captured, because maybe the remainder members of the Akatsuki like Deidara and Sasori would potentially be able to do that, but I just don't believe that that would be the case. So that's essentially where I'm going to be ending the story off. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys thought about this video down below in the comments. And also, there's been a lot of you guys that have been asking me how commissions even work on the channel. So I figured for most of you guys that have probably watched to the end, you're the type of people who might be more interested in watching a commission. So I'm going to finally explain it. Essentially, the way commissions work is you get to commission a 1, 2, or 3 hour video from me, and the 1 hour is, I believe, $25, the 2 hour is $35, and the 3 hour, which I don't even want to do, to be honest, so I hope none of y'all make me do it, is, I forgot the price. Maybe, was it 60? I think it was 60. I don't know, but regardless, point being, you can pretty much commission whatever video you want. You give me your notes, what you want to happen in the story, and I bring that thing to life. Give me about a couple of days and I promise I'll pump that video out for you guys. And if you guys have any of those suggestions, then just hit me up. It's pretty easy to do so. You can either contact me on Instagram via Xehther, look me up there. You should see my character PFP there. You could also email me, which is going to be on the community tab, so just go to the post section on my channel, and then if you look at it, you should see like my little like character thing. But yeah, you could hit me up on my email, or you could simply just join my Discord server, link in description, and right there you guys are able to actually hit me up and ask me what video you guys actually want. All you really got to do at that point is ping me and then be like, hey Xehther, I want a commission. Then I'll hit you up and we can start talking about it. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's where I'm going to be wrapping up What If Naruto Was Yuta Akotsu. Be on the lookout for What If Naruto Was Virgil's reincarnation from Devil May Cry. That's going to be the next What If that I'm going to be dropping potentially. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it has been your boy Xehther. I love each and every single one of you guys, and I am out. Peace.